and welcome to the Real Biz Life Chronicles, where we discuss all things business, branding, and life. I'm your host, Tracy Fryer, with a very husky voice today because it is hay fever season. My guest today, not only does this beautiful lady have such a great energy about her, and I have to say, she puts her heart and soul into everything that she does. She is a dynamic entrepreneur based in Perth, known for her passion for empowering tradespeople and connecting them with homeowners and builders. As the founder of Trade Heroes, she has dedicated herself to creating a platform that not only supports success quality tradespeople, but also ensures a trustworthy experience for homeowners seeking reliable services. Danielle Moran, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. That was such a nice spiel.
Of course, it's one thing that I admire about you. Every time I speak to you, or even through BNI, when you're speaking about what it is that you do, you always have so much passion that comes across, and I can just tell by the energy that you invest in it.
Oh, thank you. That's great to hear because I'm always so nervous
No,
when I'm not
well.
nervous one-on-one, just like groups.
Well, I'm a bit the same, to be honest. So it takes lots and lots of practice.
Yeah, it definitely does. But it's a skill that once you master, I'll be stoked to have. So
Yeah.
It's one of those things like squatting, losing weight. You got to do it a lot of times for it to happen, for those results to shine through.
Especially on the squats, I still find I'm still trying to fall in love with that exercise, but I'll keep going.
Oh my God. I've just started at Fit Stop and I've done CrossFit, I've done everything. I just get bored quite easily. And yeah, this morning session just blew my mind. So
Great.
I'm here. I could be napping. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off topic.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Danielle, I think to kick us off, I'd love to know, what is the bravest thing you've ever done?
The bravest thing I've ever done is I've flown a plane solo with my kids in it.
Oh,
Flying by yourself is one thing, but then risking their life, like when you've just freshly got your recreational pilot license, and then you take them up, and when you land, you're so happy. It's like adrenaline.
I can imagine. I mean, I used to be an air hostess, and I wasn't even in control of the plane, and I used to get nervous. So I can just imagine.
Oh yeah, when you've got people's lives in your control, I actually can't even believe I did it. But anyway, yes, that was definitely quite a scary thing to do.
And is that one of your hobbies on the side?
I haven't done it. I haven't flown for probably about 7 years. I did it while we were living down in Dawesville. Murrayfield, there's an uncontrolled airport there. So it was a nice little airport to learn in without the big all of the controls that go on at Jandicott. So I only got to recreational stage, and then time and money, and it's an expensive hobby.
An expensive hobby. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so I'd love to get back into that at some point in time, but I'm concentrating too much on other things at the moment to use any brain power in that.
Yes, and speaking of which, I'd love to know, how is it that you found yourself, being one of the founders of Trade Heroes?
Well, my husband actually is the driver behind the force. I love the idea and I'm loving the journey. So he's a tradesperson. He's been into roofing for a long time. When I met him, he was like, what does your old man do for a living? Because we've grown up, we've had a nice life. And I was like, oh, he's a roof tiler. And he's like, really? My parent, his parents are all educated, and he's always struggled at school and everything. So he was like, maybe I could do that. And I'm like, I'm sure he'll give you a job. He started roof tiling, and then he decided to do metal roofing. So he's got everything roofing covered. But he also loves the marketing side of things, and he also likes to we both do. We're passionate about letting kids know that they don't need a university degree to have a successful life, and the trades have so many opportunities for young people to step into, whether it's, they don't need an apprenticeship even to necessarily have a successful life. So, that's one thing that will be our driver. Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yes, and so he worked with your dad, and then how did Trade Heroes, how did that come about?
We had a business called Gutter Heroes, so gutter cleaning, so that was quite successful. So we just kept the name Trade Heroes, but it's just we want tradies to, the stereotype that tradespeople do have, to become more heroic, because they do really good things for people and they get a bad rap. They're all getting called cowboys and they work
Yes,
really hard. They're doing, like, imagine being a bricklayer, putting 1 million bricks up a day. That's really, really hard work. And you live
that
in a
is.
house that,
Mm,
you need to be grateful that you have people like that are keeping people housed. So these
of
jobs are
course.
really challenging and really hard, and they are worth what they make.
Mm.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, my dad was very hands-on, so he would just like add another lounge room to a house and that sort of thing. And then my
Wow.
brother and I would earn extra pocket money. He would get us to help with the, like, obviously he'd lay the bricks, but then we would go like in between. It was the most laborious thing I could think of. But hey, he was paying like 4 rand an hour or something, so we were all for it. But it's hard. That's when you say it is a labor-intensive job.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So,
Mm,
and heaps of the trades are, but at the end of the day, I just don't like the fact that everybody's tarred under the same brush. Is that even the same?
it
They're
is.
all labeled with the same stigma, even though,
Yeah.
you have your people that aren't as trustworthy as other people in all industries, employees. You have your good employees and you have your bad employees, but
Of course.
nobody's rubbishing the bad employees, I guess. So, yeah.
And one of the cool things that I really like about what you guys do is that you really seek quality trades because, again, like you say, there's a lot of bad stories one hears, especially if you are a woman who lives on her own. I've heard horrific stories from my friends.
Yeah.
Did you want to walk us through that? So, is there a process that you take the tradies through to become a part of Trade Heroes?
Yeah. So essentially, they need an ABN number to start with. They need to hold public liability insurance. They need, if they're an electrician, for example, there's a special
Mm,
license that they need for that, a plumbing license, a painter's license, depending on which trade is regulated in which way. So we do look at that. And if we do get bad feedback from any customers, depending on, it's not always the tradesperson's fault. So we'll
yeah.
kind of reach out to the tradesperson, find out what happened. And, if it's a repetitive kind of scenario, we can remove them from the platform. So we reserve the right to do that. Yeah. And I have
Yeah.
in the past.
Yes, everyone's
Yeah.
kind of vetted.
Yeah, to a degree, to a degree. So, yeah, I'm not going to go, like, I do have a fish through, but there's a lot of tradespeople on there. Yeah, and they have to also they're accountable for their own licensing and what they have said that they do and don't have. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
And
it's
did
always,
you want?
customers always still need to ask those questions if it's important, like, to them. If you want to make sure your bench top, for example, is covered. I've heard horror stories that a cleaner, for example, has poured
Yeah.
something on a Caesar stone bench top and just ruined a $10,000 bench
Oh,
top, and she didn't have her public liability insurance. So who's going to pay for that? So there
hmm.
are important questions that customers also, homeowners and people that are wanting the work done should consider asking
Hmm.
for themselves as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Danielle, did you want to walk us through how the platform works?
Okay. I'm actually in the process of redeveloping the whole website, which is
Mhm.
really exciting. So there'll be affiliate programs available for people that want to offer our tradespeople discounted services, which is also a benefit for them to be as a Trade Heroes member. So it's all changing. I don't really want to give away
No,
what's
that's
happening
fine.
until it's all done, but it's going to look very different to how it does now. I guess as far as things that I'm learning, I've had an awesome web developer that's been taking me through the
Right.
mapping from the URL creation to where everything goes. All the stuff that I've been like just literally blows my mind. The amount of stuff that does go into the back end of developing a platform.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going on a tangent. Where am I going?
No, no,
But
no.
but yeah, definitely been a process. I think that I know that SEO people use directories to improve other people's for backlinks and things like that. So I think it'll be an opportunity for that kind of business to help their clients as well. There's a lot more thought gone into this one.
And Danielle, I know you and I had a chat about your web experience. You don't have to mention any names, but I'd love for you to share, like, what difference has it made having a really easy web development process as opposed to working with someone who leads you down a path and leaves you hanging? Would you mind to share on that experience?
Okay, so I'm actually also very passionate about this. I know that in the web development and SEO arena, a lot of people go in blindfolded and there's not really much regulation with it. And you would definitely know that, being, in the industry yourself. And you go in and that's why you employ somebody to do that for you at the end of the day. So when they don't have the knowledge or do the right thing, and they can charge you a decent amount of money over time, and you don't know how to check your Google Analytics, and because why should you? You're paying all that money for your website to rank because you want to make money from your investment. It's so scary out there. It's actually like people are getting taken advantage of like all the time. I'm obviously not mentioning names, but I've been there. Yeah.
Yes, and I know the name that you did mention has done that to a lot of people in Perth, and you can only operate like that for so long. But it's great that you've met a developer that's really guided you on that journey, because again, there's that trust factor that you give in someone when they are working with your website or social media, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I've learned so much I think we're about 2 months in, and it's all just been strategy. Where the design is finished and now it's all been mapped out, and so much work goes into it. My new developer, he has spent like so many hours, and he's excited to be working on the project, which is cool.
Right.
And I fully have so much respect for him now understanding the process and the work that's behind the scenes of a website, let alone a directory, which isn't able to be created on WordPress and things like that. So I've got a whole new understanding of it, but it just didn't happen in my last round. With the last company.
I think something that you've touched on by the sounds of it is that your values have aligned more with him. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. I have a conscience. I can't have tradespeople, like I'm not even signing them up at the moment on paid, like they can get on board if they want to know what's coming up, because it's really exciting and there's opportunities to be had, but I can't take people's money if I'm not delivering what I say I'm going to deliver, even though my price point is so low in comparison to SEO. I want to be able to deliver results. Yeah, it's results. Everybody does things for results. You're not going to go and run a 10-kilometer marathon like you did if you're not aiming to get better at it or get fitter, or you want something out of it, don't you?
Of course, there's always some sort of goal that one's working towards.
Yeah, that's right. So,
I think what I really love about what you're doing, though, there's kind of two people that you're serving. One is the tradies, and then the other one is, the homeowners that are looking for reliable, quality tradespeople that you're really, really helping as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have a concierge service, so if often homeowners won't know what trade they need to source for whatever job they need doing. So they can also contact us, and we can let them know who they need and who's in their area and who we recommend for those jobs that they don't know who they need. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
And sorry, Danielle, I'm jumping around a bit. With your current web developer, perhaps you could share what were some key signs that you knew he was a good fit, maybe to help our listeners out there who are potentially trying to find, a developer, or they've had a really bad experience, was there some key things that this person did? Was it their testimonials on their website that really, shifted you to, again, trusting someone to work with your website?
Yeah. So we've had a great website. It doesn't look that pretty, but it gets results. It's called Perth Gutters. And I mean, probably for obvious reasons, it brings a lot of leads into that arena. And the developer that developed that, it's a WordPress site. And he said from the very beginning, he goes, I'm not qualified to build a directory. So he had sent me to another massive company that I would have ended up. So this is my third time. So I would have ended up. This is my third time. Did I mention the first company name to you?
I think you did. Yes, in person.
Yeah, I can't say it. They're a big company.
Yeah, they're very well known.
Very, very expensive. And anyway, he sent me there in the first place. So the second company had sourced me, and they'd asked me and proposed that they would, take over the project at a lesser cost, which was a lesser cost, but it's still a very good amount of money. And then I went back. So I went back to Mike Barnett is his name. I'll throw him out there because he's a legend. And he said, all right, I've got this mate. I trust him with my life. He is not a salesperson, but he is exceptionally good at what he does. And then when I met with him, I met with two different people, and I actually liked the other company as well. My new developer, he's rough around the edges, but he's so good and he's so committed, and he explains things to me, and he spent a lot of time with me, like mapping it out. We were spending a full day from like 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it broke my brain. Like, I don't even know how you guys do this stuff. Like, I was literally like, no.
Very complex. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, but for him to teach me what I've learned over the last, 6 to 8 weeks is huge. Yeah. So me,
sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, just being taught what he's doing. I'm never going to take his job, but it's good to know, so that I can know what I'm delivering on the other side of the scale.
It gives you that confidence, I guess, when you are, delivering that to the tradies.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
And I think something you touched on was actually the power of like a personal referral. So he was a personal referral?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes, that's one of the most powerful referrals or type of leads that we can actually get as business owners.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely. When you've had a good experience with somebody and you trust them and they tell you that they can't do it, when most people go, they probably think in their brain, I can't do this, but I'll take your money and give it a go. And then it's next minute, it's 2 or 3 years later, and all this money's come out, and you're like, shit. Yeah. So it's been a ride. It's been a ride. Sorry?
It sounds like it's on the right path now, which is good.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Like from the very beginning, like the beginning of Trade Heroes, from where we were then to where we are now is huge. I was literally like, I had the Hilux loaded up with Gatorades and maybe some beers in the back of there. And I'm like going around to work sites, meeting trade people to fill up my empty book, and trying to get to know them all a little bit. And so
was that how you kind of started, Danielle?
Yeah, because I had to fill up an empty book, like an empty directory as such. So to have it grow from like 0 to like 350 tradesmen in Perth, and to kind of want to know that they're good has been some work. And the good tradies are worth giving a good service to. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could walk us through, because I mean that takes some serious guts to go out there and have an empty book and kind of put yourself out there, start meeting people. What were some of the things, I guess, that went through your mind? Were there some days where you just wanted to give up and say to hell with it all?
Oh, all the time. No, not all the time, but some. you know, when you're face to face, because I've done cold calling, I've done all the things. To begin with, it's a muscle, it's a callus that you need to grow. Like going out there and meeting all the tradies, it's like, oh God, here we go. What are they going to think of me?
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And they're pretty susceptible. You're going to get rejected. Some people are going to say, oh my God, piss off, you know. But that's just a part of it. Like, okay, next.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same with the cold calling, and it's the same with the starting off of any business. How do you get clients if you don't get out there and shake the tree? Yeah.
And how did you handle that rejection? Because I know when I do cold calls and stuff, when you get rejected, it's almost like such a punch in the chest sometimes. You know, you've had like maybe 10 yeses before, and then you get that one no, you're like, oh, well, that's
I know.
it.
If they don't abuse me, I'm all good. Like, if they aren't like, I haven't really been abused, to be honest. I actually feel more sorry for any international people that have to do it, because I've listened to the end of that and they cop some harsh feedback.
And
I would never speak to, like, I used to get annoyed with them as well, but now I'm so polite because I've been on the receiving end of that. So I'm like, I really appreciate the call, but I'm just not interested right now. So there's no need to be rude to people when they're calling you up, because they're just trying to make some money like you are in whatever you're doing, whether you're at work or whether you're, I know. But it took a while, but I'm pretty crazy with it now.
Yeah. And maybe you could share some tips. You know, if someone is thinking of starting a business with their husband or wife, are there any top pointers that you'd recommend there? Because I can imagine the dynamic would be quite different, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So it's challenging to be married to somebody that you're working with. So you've kind of really got to know that you can be compatible and hold your roles and not like try to get involved in their kind of role in the business, and they've got to not get involved with yours. Of course, you're going to talk about it and have your times, but oh my God, there's multiple times Zach and I could have got divorced having like debates over, you know, at the moment he's not having too much input as far as the web dev goes, because that just does my head in. I'm like, no, that is how it works, because you haven't had the full-on days and whatever that I have. So I feel like sometimes I'll go back and I'll have to re-explain a whole day worth of stuff that's done my head in already. So I'm like, just believe me when I tell you it's going to be grand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've learned a lot over our time. We've always kind of worked together. So even because I've always done like the admin and stuff. I've been lucky enough to be able to do the admin and stuff and be able to raise kids at the same time without sort of stay at home. So I've had a lot of flexibility through the years that the kids have grown up. But now Trade Heroes is here. I've got way less time for them, but they're grown up, so that's all good.
Oh, great. And so would you recommend people have some sort of boundaries in place, or like if things get too heated, have like a, safe word, the moon is blue or something like that, and kind of walk away and come back? Or
I don't know. We've had our fights, but I don't have any advice there. Like I think, I don't have any advice. Sorry.
No, that's
hard.
fine.
It's just hard and it's challenging. I know that a lot of people do like couple business counselling and stuff. So far, we've managed to avoid that.
Great. That's good.
The best thing is that he's out on site because he's a tradie as well. And I'm sort of doing the admin side of stuff with Trade Heroes, and heaps now that Trade Heroes exist, but I'm still running the books on our trades business as well. But it's good when he's on site and not in my space.
It gives you a bit of a break.
Yeah. Otherwise, if we couldn't like sit next to each other and work together, that would just not work for us. Sorry.
No, and it also sounds like the fact that you guys haven't got to that, was it business couples counselling you called it?
Yeah, there is such thing. I don't. Yeah,
Right.
there's such thing because I know quite a few people that work together in the same businesses, and more closely together as well. And there are places that you can go, which I think are a good idea as well. If you can't work out how to separate your personal life from your business life, because you sometimes go home and I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk any more business stuff.
No.
Because it's all the same stuff, because that's what we both do during the day.
Of course. Yeah. And it sounds like you guys have a really good partnership. You know, you kind of respect each other's, roles that you play in the business. Because like I was saying, like the fact that you haven't got to the business couples counseling shows that you kind of, either work things out and then kind of get back to it. So I think that's really valuable.
Yeah. I've been with him since I was 18 years old, though. So, and he was 21. So we've been together for a very long time, and we really know, I guess we've grown up as kids to know who we are, and we know our boundaries. If I'm about to snap, it's not, like back it up and vice versa. So, I think we're very lucky and fortunate, and there's few and far between that could probably do it.
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
And Danielle, I'd love to know, what have you found the most challenging about having your own business?
Besides all the stuff that I just said 3 times web you have to be responsible. What's the word? You have to be responsible for the money that you make. You're not going in and getting an hourly rate. You have to, I don't even know what the word is.
Hustle.
You have to hustle. But you also have to own that what you get is a direct reflection of what you do.
What you put in.
You have to do it. You can't just wake up and call in sick on yourself.
No,
you have to go to work. You have to know that when you've booked a holiday, there's not going to be a shit show when you come back, which generally there always is. And you have to have everything so mapped out, and it's never going to run 100% smoothly. I feel like being a business owner is being a problem solver, and that's mainly what you spend your time doing, is solving problems, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else.
Yes, no, I agree with that statement 100%.
Yeah. So, just sometimes you just think, oh my God, a job would be way easier because I can just wake up and go to work. And if I'm sick, I just won't go to work and they'll pay me still. And exactly. Like you got hay fever, you could easily ring up and be like,
totally. Movies all day. Can't do that now.
I know, exactly. It's just, the benefits are awesome because you obviously have that flexibility. You have much more flexibility than having a job and trying to ask somebody if you can have time off because of whatever. But also it's hard. It's hard in much ways, much harder.
Very true. And I find if I do have a day off, I start to feel guilty. No idea why, because I have an amazing team that's kind of managing everything for me. But I'm like, right, so what can I do? I'm lying in bed. I'm like, what can I work on? Can I watch Alex Hormozy and then plan out something for marketing? I'm relentless. I've literally had to be very disciplined. And then if I do take a day off or if I'm sick, to kind of rest. But yes, it's a completely different experience from being employed.
It really is. I think I need to still find that balance because I always, even if I go have a game of golf in the afternoon, my phone is beeping and I'm still answering, inquiries from your assistant or whatever is going on, and the phone doesn't stop ringing. And I'm like, I need to actually be more consistent in turning do not disturb on and just actually having some me time, because it can really bring you down. It can really drain your soul.
Yes, you get very exhausted at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because I think that there's, one of my friends was telling me there's a cycle, a female cycle, as far as business even goes. I don't know. I've been meaning to look into it, but there's a part of the month where you're much more productive, and there's a part where you're much more emotional, and there's a part. So utilizing all of those for different parts I need to learn more about that. Do you know?
Yeah, Jessica Turlick did workshops on it. So you have like in that month, you'll have different seasons. So when you're in your spring and summer, it's when like you're at your best, you know, you're very like productive and you like can take on the world and it's boss babe vibes and everything else. And then as you go, I think each week is a season. And then as you go into like autumn and winter, things start to wind down. And it's just what to be kind of mindful of during those times. I find as a business owner, we just have to go all the time. But yes, it's definitely a thing. I've heard about it as well.
Yeah, I need to look more into that. It's just like finding the time for anything.
Definitely. I found I eventually had to make time in my calendar. So my calendar looks like a rainbow. Everything is very structured in. I've got my gym, my morning routine. And then on the weekend, I'll block time out for myself, whether that's running, having a facial, whatever the case may be, because I found I would just get up at like 5, go straight on my laptop and was answering emails straight away. But then I actually read a book called Rushing Women Syndrome. And I was like, yes, it's such a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. Because every page I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. So you kind of get yourself in that heightened state all the time. So you're constantly reactive and you don't really take time to kind of just chill and like take things in. Because there's something obviously that happens in your brain when you actually have that downtime. And that's why I'm a big fan of meditation now as well, and yoga and all that sort of stuff that actually slows the pace down. Because when you are a business owner and you are driven and you have these big goals and you want to, you know, rule the world, we do tend to operate at a very, very high rate. Whereas this book kind of touches on all of that. But yeah, an awesome book if you haven't read it. Highly recommend.
I definitely will. Yeah, no, amazing. I need to. I'm definitely in no way, shape, or form like the perfect person to get advice from on how to how to be a perfect business owner, husband, wife, mum, anything. Like it's all just sometimes a big shipwreck.
So I don't think anyone actually is in that, you know, perfect position. But like I said, there's always a lot of passion when I speak to you about what, you know, you have so much passion for what it is that you do. And it's incredible that your mom, you know, you work with your husband as well. You find time for golf and you fly planes and there's so many incredible things that you have going on in your life.
Oh, thanks. There is. I think I have ADHD, just undiagnosed. And it's like I go on these little tangents where I want to do this and I put a lot of time into something and then I'm like, next minute, oh my God.
I actually had that conversation with someone at a networking event yesterday. And I was like, I wonder if half maybe got it because I'll like do one thing and then, I'll be leaving to go to like a client meeting. I'll see like there's maybe something, I don't know, like I've left my shoes in the dining room, for example. I'm like, I have to go put those back. Like everything has to be in order. I think it's just my brain though. Or I'll be like, hang up the washing, you know, before I know I'm so sidetracked. But anyway.
Exactly. Like the washing machine has to always be running while you're doing this so that's going to be ready for when that's done. And then like the more stuff you can do, the better, because then you can move on to doing what you want to do.
Totally. Yeah. And so Danielle, I was wondering, have you always been so driven? Have you always wanted to have your own business?
I've always grown up with my parents having their own business. So I've always seen like mum's always been at home for us, you know, for like as we grew up, and dad's always been home at whatever time, you know, like, so I do like the not 9 to 5 schedule. So I'd rather, you know, start at 7 and finish, you know, and just get your hours in and do a bit over the weekend. But I like being able to be there for my kids as well. So yeah, I've never liked having a job. I've never liked somebody else being in control of my time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely always only wanted to have my own business and run my own show. Yeah. I don't want to make having a job sound like a bad thing. I know that some people really enjoy their work and stuff. I like to be in control of my own time, and usually I'm doing more time working than probably what a job would anyway, but it's mine. And what I get out of it is what I put into it. It's not for somebody else. It's for me and it's for my family. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, thank goodness there's people who want to be business owners and people who want to be employed, because if we all wanted to be business owners, there'd be no one to work for us. And I mean,
Exactly.
what I've learned is that my team has really elevated my entire business. So it's good that
Yeah.
there's people who want those different things from life.
Oh, definitely.
Mm.
Exactly. So yeah.
And do you guys have a team at this stage?
I have only got, so I've just got an intern, but I've got a full-time VA who
Great.
works full-time for me. And I do have a couple of sales girls, one north and one south, but at the moment, because I'm developing the new website, we're not pushing sales at the moment. So
Fair enough.
I want, if people want to know, just jump on the current Trade Heroes site for free and you'll get the information that you need so that you can be one of the first to know about the new stuff that's happening.
Awesome. We'll definitely pop the links in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Amazing.
And Danielle, if you could go back and I guess give your 18-year-old self some advice on the life ahead, what would that one piece of advice be?
Oh,
You can give two if you want.
I needed so much advice at that point in time.
Same.
Oh my God. I'm glad that there was no social media or video footage. So we got to be stupid and not have it live. So I don't need to give myself advice not to do that. But for any 18-year-olds, take that advice. I don't really know. There's so much advice, but I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. Yeah. What advice would you give yourself?
Oh my goodness. Actually, that's a good question. So no one's ever flipped it. I think for me, it would be the realization that nothing in life is ever permanent. I think, through media and certain things, we're sold that, certain decisions or certain choices that we make are permanent. And whilst it's good to honor things, I think, yes, it's a realization I've had as I've gotten older that not everything is permanent. And sometimes that's heartbreaking, but also there's a big lesson to be learned behind it. And also just trusting the universe and God and the path that's ahead of you, and knowing that life is always happening for you. I think I had a very I guess they don't teach us this stuff at art school or at school, Evan, so we always go into that victim mindset of why me. But I've definitely learned that life is always happening for me. And like even the podcast, for example, I was completely out of my comfort zone, couldn't think of anything worse. And I just threw myself in there, and it's been one of the best experiences ever. Business owners like yourself, embracing it, nerves aside, everything, still sharing and wanting to serve others by sharing our experience. So life is always happening for us, as hard as it might seem at the time.
Amazing. That's a good one. I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah, that's right. No, Danielle, I think you have so many great things going on, and the other thing I wanted to touch on is that you sound like you give things a go, like you've got your golf and you did your flying. I mean, flying in itself is very nerve-wracking. Do you kind of always take on challenges as they come?
Yeah, well, I like to get past the fear of things, like the things that make you the most uncomfortable make you the strongest in the long run. Just do it. Like if you want to do it, don't be scared. Have you the 5 4 3 2 1 rule, Mel Robbins?
Oh, I love her. Yes,
it's I know.
So good.
Yeah, so good. And also, I've just been listening to I'm just listening to for the second time the Green Light book from Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, I haven't read that one. Yeah,
it's on Audible, and you get to hear his voice, which is always nice.
Yes.
It's an awesome read. Definitely get onto it. But it's a similar thing. Like what you might have a red light, but it's always going to turn green. So you've just got to push through until the light goes green. I guess it's like rejection, but keep going and it'll turn green. I guess that's a big moral of the story.
Yeah.
Hopefully I haven't given the whole story away. It's way entertaining. I'd still listen to it.
No, I'll still definitely have a listen.
Yeah.
And Danielle, I'd love to know, what role has networking played in your business? Because I know you and I, we met through networking, and then you joined BNI as well. How have you found that's helped your business?
It has a lot, because if people don't know you, then how are they going to help you, and how are you going to help them? Like, the more
Mm,
people you know, I think the better, and especially within the business network, because we're all out there trying to achieve similar goals. And also, I think every single business needs attention. So
mm,
if you are your business, you need to meet people to get that attention. Otherwise, how will they know who you are, that you're a good person, what's behind what that business is? I just think it's a great and super important thing to do. And networking
mm.
doesn't always have to be in a business networking. Networking is at the gym,
No.
networking is walking the dog, networking is just smile, like
Yeah, be
just walk
approachable.
past people, smile, be warm, and people will, like, hopefully not hate you, because how can they?
Well, one thing is, don't have resting bitch face, because everyone will be turned away by that. But yes, I love that you've said that networking is not just in a business environment, because I think so many people just automatically go there. Like, I have to go there with my business card and wave it around.
Yeah,
Because some of the best connections I've made have been at like weddings, or like you say, walking the dogs, or just at the most random places that I would never even expect it.
yeah.
Some of the best connections have happened there.
Exactly. And I think they're the best
Mm.
ones when you don't feel like, I don't love going to those networking events where you feel like you are literally an
Oh,
ATM for business cards. It's like,
mm.
no, I could use a rude analogy there, but I won't. Um,
Me
but,
too.
like, am I?
Yeah, go for it. It's Real Biz
leave,
Life Chronicles. You can say what you like.
leave it up before you stick it in, is what my husband says. You might
I
need
am
to
not
beat
going to
that.
forget that one.
But yeah, just like, get to know me before,
Yes,
not on the
yes,
first date.
totally. And someone else actually shared, like, and there was a podcast in the Diary of the CEO. He shared that, having a business and dating, it's very similar. Like, if you apply the same rules that you do in dating, like you said, lube it up before you stick it in. Love that.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I love that you shared that. You have to really try and get to know someone and actually give a shit about that person, not just
Yeah,
what's in it for me the entire time.
exactly. That's right. And you may never pass a referral, because you just may not have had the opportunity to, but you're
Hmm.
always going to look out for, like, because obviously different industries, I might not have the opportunity because I don't socialize in those circles or whatever.
Hmm.
But it doesn't matter. You've made a good friend out of it at the end of the day, usually, and it doesn't have to always be a business deal. And sometimes those friends are the best business deals.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Grant
And
Cardone says, go to the most expensive gyms and you'll meet the most like-minded people. I guess that's relevant for him, who's a bazillionaire.
yeah, you can afford it, definitely. But
Yeah.
you've actually touched on an important point there, because what I've learned from networking as well is that you do have to situate yourself where your ideal client is. Because what I did in the first year is I joined like 7 different networking groups. I even got tagged like the networking queen, and I was like, "Was that a good thing? I don't know." But as I've gone and grown, I've realized that you have to be quite particular with where you spend your time. To whilst you want to add value to that community, you also have to make sure that there are your ideal clients in that community, because you are, at the end of the day, whilst you're going there to again add value, you also want to make business and get some business out of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Mm.
all right. And even if they don't want to buy something from you, they'll know somebody that will probably want to buy something from you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's just about being a good person. I don't really go into anything anymore like I used to when I went to I think, I've got to go to this thing and I've got to try and get business and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But now when I go
Mm.
to go anywhere, I'm not trying to get business. Half the time I forget my
No.
business cards, which is probably
Mm.
not the best thing. But if you don't want to catch up with them a second time, you probably not, it's not in the right spot or place anyway.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And Danielle, is there one thing that you find yourself doing that if you didn't have your own business, you would never have experienced it? And perhaps it's something you've actually really grown to enjoy?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. So is there perhaps something that your business journey has opened your world to? It could be like a personal growth journey or something that you find yourself doing or learning.
Yeah. Public
Mm.
speaking, 100%.
Oh.
Like public speaking, without having a business, I would have never had to do that. Not that I have to do that, but it's definitely beneficial. So building
It is.
confidence as well,
Mm.
and getting more resilience, way more
Yeah.
resilience. Like, just don't give a shit if people say no. Just next.
Yeah.
Next. And then even, another Grant Cardone thing, you don't ever stop ringing them until they either die or they say yes. And I'm like, I don't know if I can go to that level, but
No,
just
that's the
like
question.
following up, and you're not calling to sell them right now. Like, yeah.
So are you, have you engaged someone for public speaking or you're kind of just winging it as you go?
Pretty much from the BNI, I've gained a bit. Like, I've gained about. I did do Toastmasters for a little while. I feel like I've probably gained more from BNI. I think it's just a repetition. I think it's just a repetition thing, and going. It's funny because I used to be a personal trainer and run group training sessions, and I can yell at people and tell them what to do. But when it comes to like a room full, I think it's also knowing what you're speaking about. So if you're not that confident in your product or what you're speaking about, of course it's going to be harder. But if you know what you're talking about, it's much easier to not be nervous. And those nerves, it's, I guess, like trying to memorize a play or something instead of just knowing the play, if that makes sense.
It does. Just really owning it, I think, gives one that confidence as well.
So once again, just repetition.
Yeah. And Danielle, any final words of wisdom before we sign off?
I don't think I'm wise.
Oh my goodness, you underestimate yourself. Perhaps there's some advice for being an amazing mom and having a business as well.
I think no, I'm not an amazing mom. No, I am. It's just about, my kids probably wouldn't agree that I'm an amazing mom either.
I'm sure they would. And it's totally fine to ghost about yourself on the Real Biz Life Chronicles as well. Whilst it's fine to say, leave it up before you put it in, it's you're more than welcome to speak yourself up as well.
I just think I'm very fortunate to be able to be in the position where I can be a business owner and a mum, and to be able to run all of those shows at the same time. So, I just feel quite blessed.
Yeah. And that's not an easy task to do, to run all those different things at once. And you should be incredibly proud of all you've achieved.
I know. It's really hard. There you go.
It's hard. It's so fucking hard. Excuse the French. Sorry, Mom. It's really, really hard. And that's why I say you underestimate how brilliant you actually are, because I mean, I don't have kids, I have fur babies, and I know the load that we carry. And my advice always says to me that, as business owners, we carry a stress level like no one actually ever realizes. So I think it's truly amazing what you've done. So you should be really proud.
Yeah, that's so true. It is. It is a stress level like nobody is seeing, because you know every day that if you are working for somebody, you get, like, that is one of the benefits of like working for people. Your daycare is opening at this time, and it's closing at this time, other than the kids maybe being sick in the middle. But trying to, actually, that's, once again, I still feel blessed because I could pick them up from school and I could drop them off from school and I could flex around that. But sometimes you're not giving them your all attention because you're working when they're home. So they may as well be at daycare.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, it's that juggling act that you're trying to do. And I have Michelle Maynard on the podcast, and she spoke about this. You constantly have all these glass balls that you're trying to juggle. And, people can speak about, life balance, and I don't think it exists, unfortunately, but you're constantly trying to, there's one thing is always, there's a sacrifice on either side. So whilst you might be doing business stuff, then family kind of there's a sacrifice there. And then when you focus on family, it's away from your business. And honestly, like, it used to spin my head up because you pulled in so many different directions.
Right.
But again, another thing my advisor shared was you have so many fires that are burning, and you literally have to decide which ones you're just going to let burn for now. There might be 10, but I'm going to focus on this fire for now and snuff that one out and get my head around that. It's a constant juggling act.
It really is. Like, I've read so many books, I've listened to so many podcasts, and I still go down the same rabbit hole, like, from time to time. I just,
Do you mean like as in how you sort of try and juggle those things?
Yeah, like I think consistently listening to sometimes your favorite podcast and giving yourself a reminder, because you might have listened to something like the 5-4 Mel Robbins. I love her. You might have listened to hers, and then you haven't listened to her for a while, or any of those kinds of things for a while, and then you find yourself like just going back to your same old habits, and you're like, I need a reminder.
Yes. Yeah. I think another thing she shares as well is that every morning she gets up and like high fives herself.
High five,
herself, that's, that I love you. And I thought, I actually tried it. It was so weird at first, like, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying that I love you.
I know.
we often are worst critics, so it's actually so healing to do that. But she is an incredible woman as well.
I did it for a while too, but do you still do it?
No, I've stopped. I journal every day, but I mean, there's only so much we can kind of really integrate. But when I remember, I'm like, oh, hey, high five, I love you, Trace. Fucking weirdo.
I know, it's so weird. If anybody saw you do it, they'd be like,
if my dogs could talk, they would just, they would have their own podcast. I can tell you that now.
My weird owner.
Yes, 100%.
Oh, yeah. No.
Danielle, where is the best place for our listeners go should they wish to connect with you?
Probably LinkedIn would be the most personal kind of one. The other social media channels have lots of other stuff going on in them. So probably LinkedIn. Yep.
Great. So we'll definitely pop all the links in the show notes as well. Danielle, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing with us. And like I say, you're doing an incredible job. And I hope you're going to play this back and remind yourself, thank you, of this, because we often forget.
Exactly. I know. Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to see where your business is going as well. Like, how many podcasts, how many like wheels do you have turning at the moment?
Well, at this point in time, it's the Design Studio Perth is my main focus. And then we've got the podcast, which is going really well. And the thing I love about the podcast is that it's creating this abundance, not only for us, but for our guests as well. And I'm totally all for that. And then I've got Trace Designs Bespoke, which is my jewelry line, but that is purely just word of mouth at this stage, because I am yet to figure out how to split myself in 10 different places at once. So, that's happening.
You are amazing.
Thank you so much.
A jewelry line?
Yeah. So we do bespoke engagement rings, remodeling. A lot of women especially will have these beautiful rings with the most gorgeous diamonds and gemstones that are sitting in their safe for like ever. Because again, jewelry has an emotional attachment. So I was like, well, you can remodel it into an independence ring or a beautiful necklace. Like, rather show it. It's too beautiful. You must show it off instead of being like hidden in your safe. So everything we do is all handmade. If we are sourcing diamonds or gemstones, they're all natural. And I have a few suppliers as well. But I love it. I can't let it go. Like, I studied it through my degree. And then I studied after my degree, I studied at TAFE doing branding and graphic design. So I have my two passions. But I love having the variety, which is good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're amazing.
I'm going to play that part back.
Play it over and over. I can't even, you've got a lot going on and you just seem so like calm all the time. And
oh my goodness, again, if my dogs could talk, they'd probably have a very different story.
Oh, well, you're good at acting then.
Thank you. I'll take that. Danielle, thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, cheers.